Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Govardhan Eco Village, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubadas. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to India, Maharashtra, and it's a beautiful day. Very beautiful day here. We are continuing on our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but first, a very, very important information announcement. Yes. We have had, check this out, as of yesterday, 5 million downloads. Is that unbelievable? Live is going crazy. Live is here going crazy. 5 million downloads. That doesn't include YouTube. That doesn't include Facebook Live. That is 5 million downloads podcasts of people around the globe just hearing the Bhagavatam. And I feel like we read stories of the great saints, and I feel like they're smiling down upon us.
You want to, you have to give me the mic if I'm going to respond. I mean, I certainly hope so. But yeah, it's, and as you mentioned, it's the audio downloads, like the audio platforms, like the podcast. It doesn't include YouTube. It doesn't include Facebook Live. It doesn't include people that tune in live every morning. Yeah. It doesn't include, a lot of other stuff. But by far the most are downloading the audios. So we passed 5 million. At this rate, like the past 4, 5 months, 6 months, we've been doing over 200,000 downloads per month, which means that's about 250,000 per year at that rate.
You think anybody in charge of this Hare Krishna movement would be like, write these guys a blank check, let's get them on board? Why don't they leverage us? Anyway, I love doing this.
I made a mistake. That wasn't 250,000. That was 2.5 million. Yeah, 2.5 million.
What's 2.5? You just said 5 million.
No. I said that at the rate that we're going now, it's like 2.5 million per year audio downloads.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And if you think there's 900 episodes and there's about 90 people who listen live every day on Zoom, do that math.
Well, 100 a day.
Times 900.
Well, multiply times 360.
I'm no mathematician, but what? Anyway, we will leave it to somebody out there on our message board.
Everybody, it's really, it means a lot to us that people would tolerate us and tune in and hear the Bhagavatam.
And all different types of people. That's what I love about it. It's all different types of people. I just had a lady from Pune come up to me.
Her.
You met her?
Yeah.
She was sweet, wasn't she? Yeah. Raghunath Prabhu, I listened to your podcast live from Pune. I love the crazy way you make everybody understand the Bhagavatam. I was like, I'm just crazy. It's got nothing to do with it's no like thought out scheme. There's no plan behind it. But yeah, I feel honored to be part of the Bhagavatam because the Bhagavatam basically is a discussion. We were saying this morning in class. It's a discussion. You got to consider the Vedas are the oldest canon of literature, objectively, the oldest canon of literature in the world. And when people bring up this question, well, when did yoga start? Good question. And people are like, I don't know, 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, and Patanjali was here, or 5,000 years ago. This oldest canon of literature speaks about yoga always existing. Because what is yoga? It's a demographic of humanity that feel unsatisfied with the material realm. And they're asking, is there more? Is there more than this? And in that, is there more than this? They inquire about God and they have conversations with saintly people. And the conversation recorded in the Bhagavatam, you have Shaunaka Rishi and the sages of Namaskharanya. Or Shaunaka Rishi and the sages of Namaskharanya. And then you have Maharaj Prikit and Sukadev Goswami. But you also have Adura Maitreya. You have this conversation of Q&A that goes on every day. And there's probably a lot of it we don't see that isn't recorded. And of course, it's continuing to this day when we have Q&A day. People are out. It's an extension of the Bhagavatam moving forward. And this conversation about who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing with my life? And these questions people ask every week. How do you incorporate this stuff into your life? I'm married with kids. What should I do? I'm a single woman. What should I do? I'm a single guy. What should I do? I'm married to a guy who loves, who's does this, but I do like this. What should I do? These common Q&A is going back and forth forever. I had an untimely death in my family. I'm experiencing great joy, or I want something from God. Is that an inappropriate thing? People ask these questions on a regular basis. They're asking these questions 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, before 5,000 years ago. And look who walked in. We were just talking about you, the lady from Pune. Welcome to the show. Come up here. Please come up. Please come up. We're just talking about this lady from Pune. Quick, come on. We're live. What is your name, dear? Wait, no, you got to get right in the microphone.
Hare Krishna, dear viewers. My name is Kalyani Radhika Devi Dasi.
Kalyana Radhika Devi Dasi, and you are from?
I'm from Chowpatty.
You're from Chowpatty Beach, Mumbai.
Mumbai, Chowpatty, Shri Radha Gopinath Mandir.
And you've been a devotee of Krishna for how long?
Since 2009.
2009. You grew up in a Hindu family worshiping Krishna or no?
Yes.
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 Father worships Krishna?
No, he was a Ganesh devotee.
A Ganesh devotee. Okay.
That's a big thing in Mumbai.
It's big. Ganesh is big in Mumbai. What about grandfather?
Grandfather was a devotee of Vishnu.
Devotee of Vishnu. Okay. And so how did you hear about the podcast?
Oh, I have been following you all since many days. So it's been really very beautiful to hear you both and seeing you in person. I'm so happy to see you in person and your wisdom of sages, especially for those you explain the most complicated and very, very confidential message of Srimad Bhagavatam in such small, lucid, brief language. It's very beautiful. I love it.
Forgive me for any offenses.
No, not at all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. That was sweet. That was sweet. We've got some great people on this trip.
We certainly have.
Yeah. We got to introduce, where are the Aussies? They're not here. We got to introduce them too.
How about announcements?
I have none. But let's
Mara?
bring in Mara. Hello up there, everybody. Okay.
Okay. We have back to recovery group meetings today at 1 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. This evening at 6:30 p.m. there's an asana class with Michelle Berger for our Patreon members. And then our show tomorrow will be at 6:30 a.m. and there's no show on Friday. There is a show tomorrow. Right.
Right.
Yeah, Friday no show.
Thank you, Mara. Choop, 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 choop. Runs off the field. She's like the bat boy. Like when baseball game, they can run and get the bat. Oh, yeah, and then tennis to get the ball. Thank you, Mara. We're going to Elephanta on our day off. Take everybody on a rickety ferry to an island on the Arabian Sea. What could go wrong? And then we chant the whole way. We chant on that boat the whole way. What's up? I'll hold the mic. It's okay. I can hold the mic. I don't like having you have too much control because you can.
You don't like me having any control.
Yeah. Get off. Anyway, going on a boat. We have this kirtan boat that goes to this beautiful island with like incredible caves. I don't like tourism, but this is pretty awesome. They've got these caves of Shiva with all these pastimes. We have to spend the day there. We buy some snacks, buy some little like souvenir things, and eat some chaat, drink some lassi, and see some monkeys. Get back on the boat, come back in, and then we'll go maybe
Do a lot of kirtan.
do a lot of kirtan. So all day of kirtan. We do kirtan out in front of the gateway to India, which is really awesome. Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah,
I'll stay here.
Costuba's staying back. On the day off, he likes to take a day off. This is like probably the most energetic day for me of the whole trip. It's exhausting but fun.
So,
What did you do today, Costuba?
well, I was hoping you're going to ask me that, because what we did today was we took the group that's arrived now, this third group that came for the wisdom training. We took them on the tour of the Govardhan Eco Village.
Okay, tell me. I heard, but you said that you usually have to have one of the scientists or environmentalists leading the tour. And today you said you led the tour. I didn't know you had a background in environmental science, Costuba. Because the other day when I said, well, what does it take to be like a naturalist? I think I'm a naturalist. I think I should put that in my bio. You're like, it takes a college education, Raghunath. And I was like, well, what gives you the right to give that tour? That's what I want to know. Are you like a gentleman farmer? You're like a gentleman environmentalist?
No, it's easy there. I wasn't doing the tour alone. They had the regular tour guide there, but I was just kind of doing a bit of translating, I suppose you could say, in a sense, not like translating the language, but just translating the message, trying to make sure that our audience got the points that would be most relevant to them.
Gotcha. So tell me.
Well, it was
Highlights, please.
Well, I can go. The first thing that we saw was there's water's a big deal here, right?
Everywhere, actually, but yeah, especially when you have these very, very strong dry seasons, and then you have this monsoon. So you have a dry season, and then when monsoon comes, unless you catch that water, you stop. Well, it rolls off the earth and it just goes somewhere. So
it just rolls right off the edge of the earth.
It just rolls off because it becomes dry and clay, like it happens in the desert. It creates these creeks in the desert. But if you can capture the water, then you have water harvesting, and then you control it and direct it where you want it to go. And that's what they've done.
And the part of what they do, we walked around the eco village a bit, but so much of what they do here is actually for the surrounding villages. And so that's one really important thing, is that there's a lot of poverty around, but a lot of it has to do because they're not familiar with some of these techniques. And so the Govardhan Eco Village is helping. First, there's this kind of like water. They dig this big hole in the ground, and then they collect the water there. And that kind of just like is there to replenish the earth itself. As the earth starts to dry, the water table, it begins to fill that back up. But then we also visited this huge kind of lake that they dug out, which is for water harvesting. And so there they explained how all of that works. It's nice.
The idea is you capture energy, be it water or sunlight, and then you choose how to distribute that energy.
Yeah, and that's
what we do in this tour.
I invited you to come.
I was tired.
And so that's the water that they use for the irrigation, and makes this otherwise kind of dry tract of land very beautiful and lush and fertile.
Sure. And now it's actually out of control between the composting and, the nitrogen and the nitrogen fixtures and the plants they planted and the companion planting and the tree planting. They've got like a massive nursery for the public.
Everywhere
as
you
well
look.
as their own nursery. Flower trees, fruit trees. I can't even imagine what it's like during mango season. There's so many mango trees here. They should be like making mango everything. A suit of mango skins, dehydrated mango leather. They've got so many mangoes here.
Yeah, but it's a very hot time to come.
Imagine if I come back here in a mango suit.
just come for mango season.
Yeah.
So then we went and we saw actually the compost. Two things.
Yeah.
Where they do this special they create this special compost. You know, they take the cow dung, and then they get earthworms, and then I don't know exactly how they do it, but they move the worms from like one thing to the other. You know, and people go there and just move them by hand. I don't know how they do it, but there they create this super powerful fertilizer. You know, through this compost.
80% more fertile using cow dung than, you know, just planting on its own. 80% more fertile. That's what we're talking about, the value of the cow. It's not just milk, and it's not just all the products of milk, i.e., although we were talking about the magic of ghee today.
We'll get to the cows in a bit,
But the dung and the urine itself of the cow is very important once you get rid of the world of tractors and engines. So if there is a collapse, and what are we talking about? Things have already started collapsing. But if there is a collapse, it's these animals that you work with symbiotically that feed your village, you know.
or if you want to avoid a collapse, if you're like, if collectively we're wise enough to live a lifestyle that's harmonious with nature, we can avoid a collapse.
Sure.
So in any case, they have this compost thing going on there, beautiful, and then right next to that they have the biogas plant.
Oh, the biogas. That's where they take plastic bottles.
No. That's where they take cow dung.
Yeah. That's where they take the dung and turn it into methane.
Methane gas.
Capture it.
There's a method where they just put it into this, I don't know, they put it in this thing, and then there's this big balloon.
Yeah.
And that balloon fills up with the methane gas, and then then they got a pipe that goes from there straight into the they do all the cooking from that kind of gas, you know, natural gas.
It's unbelievable. And then of course there's this, and this one is really crazy. It's the plastic bottle machine. Did you ever see that?
I have seen that. Yeah. We
They
didn't see that today.
You take plastic bottles, put it in a machine. Somehow it turns the plastic bottles into petroleum. What?
It's just some kind of oil that they can use for like lubricate. It becomes
Something.
useful.
It becomes useful.
And it doesn't sit in the earth forever and
Yeah.
you know, create the problems it does. So, you know, but one thing that we said when we started is the Government Eco Village isn't like a self-sufficient community exactly. In many ways it is, but not entirely. But it's really like a model. They're modeling all different kind of technologies. Some of them are modern technologies, and some of them are like the ancient lifestyle. Yeah. But they're showing with a combination of modern technology sometimes, you know, things like solar panels or even the sewage system they have, which is like totally natural, but like a modern invention. Or even things like the bricks they use here, which is like drawing from the idea of making clay houses, but finding a way that you can make bricks out of it and create structures and so forth.
Turning into more than cob huts, but like condos.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, beautiful condos, comfortable, suitable for the various types. We'll get into that.
Right.
But really what they're doing when you're invited here, it gives you an opportunity to kind of like examine our own perspectives. You know, are we living the way that we should be living? Should we, you know, be determined to live in a more wise way? And are we ready to do that? And can you show me a vision of what it might look like? That's what they do here at the Government Eco Village.
Another important thing is because, you know, I've checked out permaculture farms and taken courses on permaculture, which I love, which is a lot of like I said, it's capturing this energy and then distributing it by our choice selectively where we want that energy to go. What the real wonderful twist in this rope is a spiritual element. Of course, when you work with nature, it's a natural spiritual element, of course, but at the same time, the consciousness is at the forefront of everything what's going on here. And that's a big thing because I've been to permaculture farms where you do all this farming all day and you build with earth or your straw bale and you farm or your garden and you get that. And then you sit around at the end of the day with a big campfire and just drink beer. And I'm not even critiquing that, but in my own life, I want something higher. I don't just want to survive like, okay, let's pretend it's, it's the year 1066 and we're just got to survive in the woods. I don't want to just do that like an animal surviving in the woods, although there is some glory to it as well. But I want that in a natural way, but in a refined way. I mean, these guys are like refined in the way they live. It's actually like a civilized way to live. And when you're adding spirit to the whole thing, it's not just about we got to survive. It's like we got to thrive in the most organic, natural way that's not assisting to the environment. This stuff is like making the environment thrive. This is like wiping out deserts by adding forests. It's actually unbelievable what can happen with a few brains harnessed together and some manpower and just creating things. So that spiritual element is what I enjoy the most, because it's at the forefront of, it's the big why we're doing this in the first place. Sometimes we're doing natural living, gardening out of a reactionary way, like, I'm sick of the city. I'm sick of buying everything. I'm sick of buying peppers sprayed with plastic or wax. I'm sick of that. It's not just I'm sick of that. It's I'm sick of that, and I also want to evolve spiritually. Those two things married together, that's a wonderful combination.
That's everything you're saying is so important, right? Because it's like there is a deeper spiritual theme or a deeper spiritual purpose behind everything that's going on here. You know, the idea that we could just go on moving in a direction where, in one sense, everything's getting further removed from nature. Everything is, in a sense, more hostile to nature. And we're becoming colder people, right? We're removed from nature, insensitive, unhealthy, ultimately destructive and self-destructive. And we become colder people, not only towards the earth, not only towards the animals, but what these sages are saying is, if you treat animals this way, if you treat the earth this way, the natural response, you begin to treat each other that way. You know, and so when is it that we're not tied up in wars? When is it that we're, not being brutal and unkind to each other? Learn to live in harmony with nature, learn to live in harmony with the animals. And naturally, we're going to start to respect each other more, be more sensitive to each other, be more kind to each other. That means living more simply. And that brings us to the next place that we went, which was the Goshala.
The Goshala. Much different than a modern factory farm. You know, I have a little prediction here, if I may completely speculate. May I? You have your blessings to speculate? Live. Got a big live crew here today. We're sitting on the top floor of these massive glass windows, looking out at the greenery and the mountain range. It's quite lovely. But I can see the future getting very, very polarized. And I can see real spiritualists having some type of like outreach center in the cities, only really to bring people out to the countryside. And all our real work will be small farms, living very close in a small community with like-minded people. I can see suburbs and cities sort of like winding down for those who are spiritually conscious. It's going to get too extreme. That's if anybody cares about my predictions.
Will there be guns out there?
I don't want to get into. There's always a demographic of people that have to protect the vulnerables.
I'm just trying to envision I'm just trying to picture your vision here. It's just
high walls.
Okay.
High walls.
All right. Any case,
anti-drone detection systems in place.
So, any case, we went to the Goshala.
Okay, so you saw the cows. By the way, when the Kirtan Academy left on their last day, and I shouldn't say this to you guys because I was going to surprise you, but I'm just going to be a spoiler here. We took all the students out for our morning Kirtan to the cows, and we sang in front of the cows. I'm going to get a video. If you got a video of that, send it to me. I'll post it. But just singing our morning songs to the cows, and it was quite wonderful, wasn't it, Patrick? It was quite wonderful. Singing to and cows seemed to enjoy it. We kept it slow and sweet, not the usual Raghunath Kirtans, which are sort of boisterous. It was slow and mellow and sweet.
So you're going to do that again?
We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again for the wisdom peeps.
All right, nice. But in any case, we spent some time out there, right? They have about over 80 very beautiful cows here. The Gir cows with the super big, huge ears, really long.
Beautiful.
And then the I think it was called tar tar tarparkar, which means they crossed the desert, like they came from Afghanistan or something like that,
Okay.
and settled here. But we discussed this idea that foreigners invaded India, right? They took a look at what was going on. They said, "What's with these primitive people?"
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, yeah. Especially the Portuguese and the British. It's just like, what's up with these guys? Showed up, started set up shop. We're in Maharashtra, so this is where the Portuguese outposts were. And then, of course, you got the Mughal influence, which I just found out it was a mispronunciation of Mongolian, and other different Muslim tribes, Afghans attacked. Afghans were bad. What they did in Mathura, they were just killing Brahmins, and it's like I was saying yesterday in the show, like these are like Holocaust you don't hear about. We hear of a major Holocaust. You might know a few others out there, in Africa or in Cambodia. But there's been Holocaust going on all over the world.
But even setting aside those extreme circumstances of brutality or genocide and things that went on, just in a more simple way, looking at how they related with the earth and how they related with the cows, they saw it as primitive, right?
Oh, right.
Especially you take something like cow dung, which we're talking about, right? Like they look at it, oh, wow, look, they're going and picking it up. They're sticking it on the wall till it dries. They're using it for fuel. What's the matter with these people? It's disgusting. It's repulsive.
Ladies walking around with cow dung patties on their head. What are they, crazy? I tell you, Maharaj took me and Mara for a little secret walk. And what happened was there was just a blackout. I wonder if that's going to affect the internet. Can you guys hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear us. How can they hear us? Okay. So he did property. And the temples he specifically wanted with cow dung and earth floors. So they take cow dungs and mud and straw, and there's a way they work it together so it comes out hard as practically stone, like you could tap dance on it, so to speak, right in front. And someone had put tarps down, and he was with his assistant. He goes, "Why are these tarps on the cow dung?" He's like, "Oh, people don't want to sit on the floor." He goes, "Are you kidding? They want to sit on plastic?" No, they want to sit on the I worked so hard to make sure these were all cow dung. Cow dung has effect on the consciousness. And he was like, get these tarps out of here right now. And so it's like we sometimes bring our modern consciousness in. Yeah, we want to sit on something. It's perfect to sit on. The cow dung is perfect to sit on. And if you go to these villages of India where they still use the cow dung and they build out of earth and cow dung, these cob cottages, it looks so beautiful. What they do is they do the entire, almost like the forest floor, and maybe leave one massive tree with a canopy, and everybody sits under the tree. And every day they sweep the floor because it's like having a floor in your house. And every 2 weeks or so, it gets a little crumbly, and you redo the entire thing again. And you know what it costs for ever redo your kitchen floor? Yeah, it doesn't cost anything because it's from the cow. And you just do it. But yeah, it's the money, resources we spend. And where do we get those resources from? We work our butt off, usually in some hellish condition, to pay for these things that we don't necessarily need, to have some stupid trophy kitchen. Huh? Mara, what do you think about that?
I'm sorry. So okay, so this is the point, is that they had this culture and they recognized a lot of things. They would say, oh, it says in our ancient texts, in these ancient yoga texts, that cow dung is pure. What do you mean by pure? Well, there's no problem. It's actually good. It's actually beneficial to make your floors out, right? So intensive scientific research was done on cow dung. And they found that actually it's not only is there no harmful bacteria in it, like most dung would have, it's antiseptic. It's the exact opposite, that this is powerfully antiseptic. Just like we have Lysol or things like that, or, it's actually very powerfully antiseptic.
Right. Not made by Dow or one of these massive chemical companies. It's coming right from the cow, the same cow that's mowing your lawn, right? It's mowing your lawn and it's fertilizing the lawn. So, it's something really insightful to say. I just blanked out.
Okay. I guess I can finally talk again. So, so in any case, what they saw was not only the dung, everything that was coming from the cow, that the cow and the bull were providing for every need. They didn't try to expand. Like what we do is we get greedy. We say, oh, if I could make money growing some crops here, I could make more money if I buy tons of land and begin to ship those crops all over the place. But then I need some way to ship those things. Well, now we're going to need petroleum, right? Then
a great resource of this type of info is Vandana Shiva. She's an incredible environmentalist from India, Vandana Shiva, and I think it was her that I heard. I think it was her that I heard it on. That it was really like these companies making tractors that pushed it on the farmers. Like, you want to make some money now? You can make 5 times as much with this tractor. And you can grow more, bigger yields, more crops. All you got to do is purchase this tractor. Well, I don't have the money for a tractor. I know you take out a loan for the tractor. And once you do that, then you're sort of in the matrix.
Then you're in debt. And so, again, their idea was, let's stay in relatively small villages, right? Now, everything that we produce, all the food, all the grains, all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the milk products. There's no refrigeration, right? So it's all kept local. And they had this brilliant way of like working with the milk, for instance. Now, this milk is no ordinary, the kind of what you buy in a store in the West. This is unpasteurized. This is unhomogenized, full of, I mean, you can also study this science. If you study that milk, you're going to come to the conclusion that milk is unhealthy. If you study real milk coming from cows that are cared for with love, that aren't pumped full of all kind of horrible hormones, all kind of horrible steroids, all kind of horrible antibiotics, you have a completely different product. And what they would do is the village, they would gather like in a big pot, what they got, the milk that they got that day, they keep it warm. People can come and take from that for that day. Then so that they don't have refrigeration, so the next day they take that milk, they turn it into yogurt. You have that for a day or two. People take the yogurt that they need, which is incredibly super healthy full of probiotics. Then you take that yogurt, and so that it won't go bad, then you churn that yogurt into butter. Now you have delicious butter with incredibly good healthy fats in it. And turns every food delicious. And then you take that butter, and so that won't go bad, you turn that into ghee. And ghee is, again, the most delicious food and the most healthy power. You know, it's like really has tons of health benefits. And you don't need a refrigerator for ghee. That'll last you for a long time without refrigeration. Now, if you want to send, milk products, if you want to say, no, well, hey, if we can make money off milk, let's get thousands of cows, put them on milking machines, totally abuse the cows, and then we're going to need refrigerated trucks. We're going to need refrigerators everywhere we go. We're going to need trucks. We're going to need more petroleum. All of these ideas just complicate things, and they just begin to destroy the earth, and they begin to destroy us. Whereas they keep it simple, then you see that cow gives me the food that I need. It plows the land for the food that I need. It gives me this incredible wonder liquid in the form of milk, which can be transformed in so many incredible ways. For my clothes, the bulls plow the land, they create the cotton, right, that I need. Hemp, if you want hemp. And for lighting my house, they create linseed or castor that can be ground into oil. You can light your house. You want to have gas cooking, they can produce the methane gas. If you want to have, you can cook with the cow dung, right? The dried cow dung. It creates the nicest, most even, slow burning fuel you're ever going to find anywhere. If you want pesticides, the urine from the cow. If you want fertilizer, the dung of the cow. You don't need all these horrible chemicals which are giving us all cancer.
Do we got to figure out everything?
Well, they already had it figured out, right? Yeah, and so so here in this Goshala, they're just showing, hey, this can be done, right? You can treat these animals with love. They'll provide everything that you need, and we don't have to go crazy running off a cliff
Sure.
trying to make tons of money out of our greed.
That's what it is. It's like supersize me, supersize me, supersize me for more profits. You can't do that when you're dealing with beings. Or what we have is these hellish slaughterhouses they've created, which reminds me of Ella.
Yeah. Well, this
This is a
one of
lead-in to
a
Ella.
lead-in. One of the very wonderful people that we have that came here to study with us for a few weeks is Ella, who's from Israel, and we'll let her tell you about her experience, but it was kind of like a juxtaposition from what she had experienced in her youth in terms of like relating to cows. Ella, why don't you come
Ella,
up?
come on down. Ella, everybody.
Yeah, make a little room.
Get real close, and you got to talk right in the microphone.
Hi, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for having me.
Ella, where are you from, and how did you get here?
I'm from Israel, and I got here from this wonderful person named Nimrod that introduced me to this practice. He introduced me to this podcast, and I fell in love, and here I am, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, and he had lived for some time here at the Eco Village for a few months, and also at the Chowpatty Temple in Mumbai. And then he came back to Israel, and he was just kind of like full of life. And you saw there's something special about this guy.
Yeah, totally. He had a different vibe from anything I've ever seen, and he always used to tell me these things that made me think. And eventually, he tied it all together to bhakti. And we meet every Sunday to read the Bhagavad Gita. And so that's how I got here.
So now you were explaining to myself and my wife today that like being brought up, there's like one part in your life you say was kind of a dark part in your life. Can you just explain that situation and what that was like?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a kibbutz, which is a small place out in nature, far from the city. And we have a dairy farm there. And when I was a teenager, when I was 16, 17 in high school, I went to work there because that's what we did. And
Just so for people who don't know, including myself, I thought a kibbutz was like a wonderful place in nature away from the cities. Isn't that a good thing? That was a tough time of your life?
It is. And I still live there. My family is from there. My dad grew up there. And it is a beautiful place, and it's amazing, and it's out in nature, but there's also these things that are just happening there. And
Tell me.
So as I said, we have a dairy farm, which is quite a large farm. We have like 800, more than 800 now, probably milking cows there. It's a dairy farm. I used to work there, and I used to witness and really, unfortunately, be a part of this horrible thing that is going on.
Why was it horrible?
Well, the cows get milked 3 times a day. Every milking is about 5 to 6 hours. And they're just constantly in and out of the milking machines. Yeah, everything is machines. Everything is super cold and tough, and
They become milking machines themselves.
yes, and also everyone treat them that way. They don't treat them like beings. They don't see them as spiritual souls.
And what about the male cows? What happens to them, or the baby male cows?
So baby male cows, we keep them for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then someone comes and take them to slaughter. So most of the meat eaten in Israel, at least, is the baby calves, that the boys, that no one knows how to deal with them. They don't think they're good for anything, so they just take them.
It's horrific, isn't it? And I feel like things are shifting. radically, and things will shift, and these family-run farms will become important because people aren't going to want, spiritual people aren't going to want to consume this dairy at all, especially when they know the backstory of the dairy industry, and it's becoming more and more. It's becoming less secretive. It was a secret thing going on, and now it's
Yeah.
becoming very evident. There's a whole movement. My daughter's vegan-ish, and she's just like, yeah, everybody knows about it in school now. It's not like it was underground for a longest time, and now it's very, very public. People go in there with cameras and they film these things, and they just don't want to tolerate. And you can just see the communities splitting.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, n-
Can you just share like how you left that, or what you expressed or what you felt?
oh, so I used to take care. I was in the milking. I used to do almost everything there, everything they needed. So this I used to work with the baby calves. I used to feed them, give them milk, and also they asked me to do a bunch of horrific things like grind down their horns and put the stuff that like prevent them from growing back, and they keep them in those tiny cells, and yeah, it's horrible. So I used to take care of them, and one day this guy came with his truck, or I don't tender or something, and I saw him just like getting all the cows up, and I was like, what is going, because I didn't even know where they were going. I just started working there. No one told me like that they're going to slaughter. I didn't even think of what they're doing with the boys, like yeah.
It's
So
traumatic.
yeah, I felt like they're taking, like I took care of them, and now I just I see him taking, and I'm taking them, and I asked what's going on. What where are they going? Are they going to like this another farm where they grew? And they're like, no, nobody knows how to deal with them. Nobody wants to deal with a grown up. Um,
Sure.
yeah.
There's something to be said about having that paradigm shift from this is a commodity and this is a being. When you start looking at so-called commodities as beings, you cannot function anymore in this world where they're treating everybody like things.
You mentioned to me that obviously you're a very beautiful, sensitive person. There's no question, but you said that the things that they were asking you to do, you could see that it was turning everybody. Could you explain like the effect it was having on the people?
Yeah, so it felt like everyone who came to work with, even one of my closest friends, even me, but I think I had a bit of compassion coming to this. But as long, like along the way, when you're doing all of these things, you start to lose your compassion, and you start to see them less and less as beings, and more of work and things I need to do. I need to get this cow now to the milking because we have to finish this. So it made me like it made me rough. It made me non-compassionate, and I just noticed that happening. And with that guy that came and took the baby calves, it was too much for me, and I sat for about an hour and I just cried. And I went to the guy who was in charge and I said, I can't do this. I can't work here. And I needed that money, but I could not work there. I just felt how emotionally it impacted me in such a negative way. I was like, I'm treating these beautiful poor cows so poorly, like in such a bad way. They don't deserve it in any way. Why am I like this?
And so, I saw as soon as we started walking. Actually, the first place we went was we saw the horses and the donkeys that they had, and I could see immediately you were very natural with animals. I could see your natural compassion and love for animals, and maybe you could just share a little bit of your feelings of seeing the farm here and the ideas that they're promoting.
It was amazing. I saw the cows, and I I just saw they're just sitting there like this, enjoying the sun, and they look so healthy, and they look so loving, and everyone is, they're not running away, they're not afraid, and it really it really makes me very, very happy to see that, and I hope that someday this could be the natural way of farming, of even the way to grow cows in the right way.
It will be. It's symbiotic living with animals. They're part of your. They become part of your family. You know, they're part of your family, and therefore you love them and take care of them. And I know even with my dog, I have like a really intelligent dog, but I trained it to use its intelligence so much because I'm a bad trainer. But last, they're like diabetic dogs. People use them for diabetes, like to sniff if someone's blood sugar is low, and they can sense that. They're also, perfect helper dogs. Of course, they're retrievers, but they're super intelligent. And they say that when you retire these service dogs, they become depressed, because in the same way, like a teenager with nothing to do becomes depressed. A person who's engaged in that, they want people and beings like to feel useful. No one likes to be a slave, of course, but they like to feel like they're contributing as well. My dog thinks that playing fetch is serving me. So he's like, okay, let's play that game that you need from me. Because they're meant to retrieve,
Anyway, I really enjoyed seeing you with the animals, and I really appreciate your sharing. Afterward, you shared all that with us. And, I think it goes back to what Raghunath was saying earlier, is just that, like, how we live, when we remove ourselves from nature. And it's not that we're just doing this, you're saying the permaculture or these things. Those are all beautiful things in themselves, but they're also conducive for developing the right mind and the right heart. And when we go against that, just as Ella is saying, you actually harden the heart. All the different practices that we have, these are extreme examples of like what's going on. And I would say some of the most crucial issues facing humanity right now is coming to terms and turning around, how we treat animals. This is where from the point of view of faith, we understand this is what brings war. This is what hardens our hearts. This is what turns us against each other. And even from a point of view, this is where the pandemics come from. Right? It's coming from factory farming, how we treat animals. This is where so many diseases are coming from. This is where climate change is coming from. This stuff is destroying us. We got to become wise enough to recognize it, and in one way or another, turn it around. And again, that may involve using modern technologies. It may involve reaching back to take wisdom from the way that people used to live, but somehow we all have to get together and move this thing forward. Otherwise, we're like blind people just running off the edge of a cliff.
We're happy you're here, Ella. What are you going to go back to when you get home?
I have no idea, except for my brother's bar mitzvah.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
Harry Bull,
Thank
thanks
you
for
so
sharing your
much.
story. I actually love having Wisdom of the Sages people come and sharing their story. We get some beautiful people here that come, and it's quite inspiring. Truthfully, I call it romancing Krishna. Just like if you romance a boy or a girl and you fall in love, there's that romantic period you go through. It generally ends up very sour, but that's just bitter old Raghunath. But when you romance Krishna, it's quite wonderful, and you never forget those magical moments. Chef Paul was romanced yesterday by Radhanath Swami. It was just like a beautiful meeting and a heartfelt exchange. And Radhanath Swami was like, I'm busy. I shouldn't stop, but this man is kneeling on the side of the road. I'm going to stop. And they exchanged, and it just went on forever. And then it's just like, we romance Krishna. Like Krishna touches our heart. It gives us some information, and we start thinking, yes, well, and we juxtapose it against our lifestyle. And we hear some wisdom, and like, how could I apply that to my life? Are these guys crazy? Am I crazy? Maybe the whole world's crazy. Maybe the whole world's crazy. And then we start thinking about these things deeper and deeper, and then something happens. We hear a kirtan. We go to a temple. Someone puts a random flower garland around our neck, and next thing you know, we just smell that garland, and something changes us. It's these little things that do something to our heart that romancing Krishna, we never forget those people that first spoon fed us bhakti, that first put a garland on us, first gave us some prasad, just like you're sharing about your friend Nimrod, who's, reading with enthusiasm. What? Wasn't his name? Nimrod is his name. You're making fun of me, Mara. That is his name.
Nimrod.
Nimrod. Oh. Nimrod. I was like, I'm going to listen carefully. Now you guys are correcting. But anyway, Nimrod, he was like reading the Bhagavad Gita with enthusiasm. You never forget those people who have come to you and like giving you that bhakti at a time where you were like so open for it. In my own life, I'll never forget those moments of those devotees who cared for me. And sometimes when I thought, this is crazy, and I would come to the ashram in Brooklyn in tears, like, how can this be right? My mentors just, putting their arm around me and just telling me and explaining, spiritual truth to me and wiping away my sadness through just information and wisdom and common sense and saying, listen, do you see what's going on now? You're letting go of something, and that thing you're very attached to is fighting you. Now just trust Krishna. You don't think Krishna has a plan for you? And then you fall deeper in love as that proves to be true. This romancing Krishna is a special time in our life.
I just want to share one more thing.
Tell me.
Is that, in all that Ella spoke to me about today, one thing really struck me. And that was, she was young, like 15 or 16 years old, when you're kind of like, it's almost like you're being groomed to become a cruel person.
I love that. Groomed for cruelty, to prepare yourself for a cruel world. Get ready. Let's start on these animals, and then you could advance up to human beings. You can be cruel to them. We're gonna go join the army.
Well, that's what they do
That's
in
what they
Israel.
do. In Israel, as soon as you're 18, you join the army.
Yeah, but what she did is actually courageous. It's like, that's the difficult thing, that you really have to reach into yourself. In her situation, I'd imagine not too many people just said, you know what? I cannot do this. I can't do this. If I don't get as much money, that's okay. This can't be my life. And I think, we all find ourselves in positions where most people will say, you know what, maybe I don't like it so much, but anyway, this is life.
Opt out of the matrix. That's a hashtag. Opt out of the matrix.
Opt out of the matrix.
How about this one? Be your own Nimrod. Be your own Nimrod. Like you got Nimrodded. Now Nimrod other people. Now you've got that gift. Now you give that gift to other people. And you give Krishna, and you be that person who gives that romance of Krishna to other people. In that giving, you get so much more. Matter of fact, in that giving, oftentimes, what do we struggle with? Is our health? Oftentimes, our biggest struggle with our mind. What about this? What about that? What about him? Where should I go? When you start giving bhakti to other people through your sincere, honest approach and your realizations, all your mental problems tend to go away, because you start to hear about their struggles, and you want to give care to them. So in that giving, Krishna gives you extra support. And then Krishna, who is real, by the way, we tend to think, well, Krishna, but really? Yes, real. Krishna is so real. And he starts using you. He starts using you as an instrument to reach out and grab people by the wrist and pull them. And why? Out of compassion, because they're struggling with the six senses, with the mind, with their loss, with their material pain. In the same way ever see somebody on the plane, or like someone you love, or a child, they're having a nightmare, they're going, like in a nightmare, and you're like, wake up, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. We are waking people up. First, we got to wake ourselves up. And then we can wake people up from the nightmare of material existence. That's what we do. It becomes like a nightmare. Yeah, you have a good dream too. And then you get a nightmare. It goes back and forth. Our whole life is a series of great dreams and nightmares, back and forth to different degrees. but there's a bigger picture of reality. And this is what this message of transcendence is. It's a wake-up call. Like, wait a second, I'm sweating the small stuff. I'm trying to control everybody and everything in every situation. I'm trying to medicate my pain, and it's not making my pain going away, helping my pain go away. It's exacerbating my pain. I want a wake-up call. Kostuba giving me it's 6:03, Roganoff. Okay, Mara. Dear Mara. Chef Mara, you look like a princess today, Mara.
Thank you. I got some good stuff.
Like a Rajasthani Maharani.
Keep high consciousness at the forefront of everything.
Like it.
Refine the way you live and add spirit.
Yep.
Don't just survive, thrive.
Thrive.
Keep it simple and care for the cows.
Yeah.
Don't lose your compassion.
Don't.
Opt out of the matrix. Even animals want to be useful.
Yep.
Cow dung is perfect.
Cow dung's great.
Romance Krishna because the whole world is crazy.
Yeah.
And be your own Nimrod.
Be your own Nimrod, people.
Be your own Ella.
Be your own Ella. Harry Bo. Thanks, Ella, for your story. And thank you, Swamini from Pune, for your beautiful story. It is a beautiful day here at the Govardhan Eco Village. I wish everybody was here. My goal is to get all 5 million listeners to get here. What do you say? We all come here and all chant and sing together, feast together, dance together, sit in meditation together.
It's not 5 million listeners. It's 5
It might be.
million
It might be 5 million listeners who downloaded it once. I think it might be 5 million listeners who downloaded it once. That's what I think. Maybe.
That means they don't like it.
No. It means that maybe they play it over and over again until they feel like they own it. But I want to say this. In that spirit of 5 million listeners, what do you say right now, everybody? You go to your iPhone or whatever phone you have, and you share the podcast with somebody that you love. Share the podcast with somebody who needs it. Be the Nimrod, people. Be the Nimrod. Give that away. Give Wisdom of the Sages to you love. Hey, I think you would like this. I think this might be right up your alley. I think you'd benefit from this. I like it. You trust me? Check it out. Give the gift of Nimrod. Nimrod, okay.
In the dictionary.
From the dictionary, a Nimrod is a skillful hunter, or 2, a foolish or inept person.
Don't be a Nimrod.
Now, be a Nimrod, but not that type of Nimrod.
Nimrod, I think.
Nimrod.
Nimrod.
Nimrod. Be a Nimrod. Thanks, everybody. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. I love you. Let the magic continue to flow.